Welcome back to another episode of Viewer Discretion, Love is Kimes edition. As always, I am joined by my co-host David Dennis Jr. to talk about the latest episodes and issues of lots of issues to unpack. Love is Blind Denver. First of all, special shout out to Pablo and Meadowlark for letting me use their studio, in case you're wondering why I look amazing. The lighting in here is incredible. Very few people came out of this group of episodes looking amazing. I have been dying to hear your thoughts on so many of these. Because you know what I love, too, about these? There's so much to debate. There are very few of these couples where I'm like, very clearly one person is in the right, and the other person, it's like, this, you can really go both ways on a lot of these.
Well, Mina, I just been thinking a lot about thoughts and the thoughts of the steps of the feelings and the thoughts. And I don't know if you're in on the feelings with the, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just what the things are. The things. It's all the things and the feelings. And I just it's what I feel, Mina.
It's a lot. How many times have you heard people on the show say that? Let's start with Ali and Anton this week. So we got, all solidified couples. This group of episodes ends with the meetup with the singles, which is very interesting. We'll get to Patrick and Anna. We finally get to see them meet in real life. We see Brendan returns to meet Annie and Kate, which is interesting. There's a lot there. But let's start with, you know what, actually, we should probably start with one of the couples who, let's not start with Anton and Ali. Sorry, I'm going to wipe that off the table. Let's start with Nick and Annie.
Yes. All right. There we go. Yes.
Because you and I, in the last group of episodes, say we were dying to see Kate return to the picture and the revelation of what Nick said. And he claims that he basically spilled all of it to Annie. And I think she is my man at this point. Because before this episode, before the end, when they finally go to the big meetup and we find out everybody hates Nick. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of the guys. Everything is like completely copacetic with them. They get in a weird fight at the end in Mexico.
I hate that I watched it twice. I watched it twice and I do not know what they were talking about. I have no clue what happened, why she was mad. It made no sense.
I think I know. So their fights and the Joe and Madison fights are like truly college boyfriend-girlfriend fights that are so unpleasant.
And nonsense.
Edmond and
They were
Katie
just
to
nonsense.
some degree, but
yeah,
they're just nonsense. I think she's just all in. She's my man. This is locked, and she was unhappy that he's not like basically saying he's a sure thing. I think that's kind of him dancing around that. I think that's all of it. Whatever, they're very committed to each other. She opens by telling him her dad said he hopes she can find someone manly enough for her. He's helping her with some construction. She asks him if he finds the stud, and he says, "You did," which I credit to Nick. That was fast.
Pushes right there. That's my stud. There you go.
It wasn't in Mexico. My bad. I'm so sorry. It was after they returned. It was after this because she says, "You're the one who."
It was the last night in Mexico, right? It was the last night.
Was it the last night in Mexico? And then they get in another. I don't know.
They got in two. They got one at home.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they kind of resolved it at home, but there was a last. Yeah.
She actually is the one who apologized. I think she's just kind of losing it. She says she's never loved anyone like she loves him. I think that's the kind of extent of the fights is like she's obsessed.
But also, big picture, we've known this for a while, but I do think that Love is Blind needs to figure out the alcohol thing. Like they really gotta kind of.
You think
figure it out.
She was?
I thought it felt like a drunk conversation. People were hanging out, but we didn't actually see anybody drinking, and it felt like people were to me, it feels like when you have going back to the episodes 1 through 6, where you have a function where 100% of the time, we're 9 seasons in, every single time, being drunk is part of that scene.
Yeah.
Right? Like the reunions, being drunk is a function of that scene. And it just feels as though you have a great show. You have a great show that doesn't necessarily need that. One thing that struck me about Love Island is we don't really ever see anybody drunk on Love Island. Right?
Yeah. Interesting.
because the show as a framework works, right? And I think Love is Blind works without it. Like, you don't necessarily
Yeah.
need it. And without fail, episode 6, episode 7, somebody gets drunk and has a fight, and it feels as though we don't necessarily need that as part of the show. And it felt like a
You think she was
continuation of
drunk?
drunkenness. I thought
Interesting.
they
I
were kind
didn't
of both
a
a
little
little,
bit.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, it is an explanation for why these couples are like, I said they felt like college fights where like they're kind of talking
yeah,
around each other and nobody's saying exactly why they're mad. And it's like, as viewers, it's not fun to watch.
right, yeah,
And then the next day they're like, yeah, we're fine. So that would also
right,
support your theory that there's like an
right.
acknowledgement that they were just drunk. They make up, they go to his cabin. This is kind of a point of contention. Like, she lives in Denver. He lives in the mountains somewhere. I got to
Yeah.
say, I've been hard on Nick. His cabin was sick.
His cabin was
really
awesome,
nice.
but he does ask her at one point where they look walking around the cabin. Is like, is my cabin a little too masculine? Which is absolutely a hilarious thing to say when you give somebody a tour of your home.
There's a lot of masculinity talk with them, and
Yeah.
it's a weird undercurrent of their relationship, and the mom gets into it too a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like we learn a lot about him. Like, he's kind of
Yeah.
built this whole bachelor life that's very polished, and he's got his outdoor equipment and his medals and his fancy vintage car, and he's got his sailboat, and he says he's a size queen, and he's got his no comment, and he's got his gaming setup, and it's all very I think, and this is something that I think the other people, the guys and the pod people, Joe and Madison in particular, get into. There's a little bit of like a Mr. Too Perfect kind of vibe with
Yeah.
him. Like, he's selling this,
Like manicured for
but
this
yes.
stuff.
And I
Yeah.
think that was, on one hand, I do think like there's some authenticity to him, but it's definitely feels a little bit put on. She meets his family. The mom, go back to masculinity thing, the mom says he's always been a sensitive boy. So at this point, going into the big meetup, they do seem very locked in, though. Like,
Yeah, they do. They do. In spite of her hair taking a life of its own. You clocked it first. You are our hair correspondent who knows when people are going to talk about her hair. And it kind of became, her hair has kind of become T.S. Ellis of the season, where it just like,
once you
as the
notice it,
season
you
goes-
stop.
Once you
Yeah.
notice it, you can. It's like, is it sentient? Is it trying to like run things? Is it making decisions on its own? We don't know.
It feels like one of those memes that gets bigger and bigger, like someone's
Yes.
pressing an enlarge button or something.
Yeah.
So I do want to hit something with Nick before we get to the meetup, because this is the more interesting thing, is that they have to confront. They were both two people who were in other serious relationships. So we talked about how they showed a scene in the first episode where they talk about whether or not they'd be okay with their kids being
Yes.
LGBTQ. And there's like, it's a weird scene. And basically they both insinuate in the scene that they think something about it is a fad.
Yeah.
Nick put out a video on his Instagram trying to clarify what happened, and I'm paraphrasing here, but what he was saying is that what he was saying was a fad was not the identity aspect, but like the overrepresentation in media for children, which is a common belief
Right.
on a certain side. I was wondering what you thought of that, and also kind of how it's looking when you see the way this couple in particular, because let's just say what it is. This is the red state couple of this, but
Yes,
it's not a
yeah.
red state. Colorado's not, but they do. This is a couple that is representative of a very different part of America than some of the other couples.
It was really interesting to think back on it, because the question I have is, like Love is Blind, we know that there have been probably many times where people in the pods have had opinions that are political opinions. And last season we saw a lot more of the political opinions because they were central to the relationships themselves. But we have not seen two people in a pod to sort of commiserate on like bigoted opinions, right? Like opinions that would be more controversial, exclusionary type opinions, which is the idea of, I'm not totally comfortable if my kids were gay, right? And it was, I'm curious as to why they chose to include that for these two at this moment with that couple. Especially, it feels
interesting.
as though that is not essential or central to their relationship. It doesn't come up again. It's not something we.
I kind of think it is. I kind of think their shared political, religious worldview is a big part of why.
Well, yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree. I agree, but it's not a central plot point in the show. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel as though, like when we think of, what was a couple in DC where they were talking about, where he was military, she was ex-military, you know, like that, and then pretty much all of Minneapolis, right? Like those couples are so much of it were politics. Ramses and Marissa, yeah, like all of those couples, like it was central. So like I'm interested in why they chose to include that.
Show it, it is interesting.
But then
that's a good point.
Also Nick, what he said in the Instagram that was interesting, that I think should be flagged also, was that he was like, I reached out to producers, and they were kind of like, well, it's provocative, it gets people going, which I would like to hear the producer side of that. And generally we do not always take, because the idea that they would throw that in there where you're saying I'm not comfortable with, you know, my kids being gay, or, you know, and then saying, hey, it just gets people going, it's provocative. Like that feels like something.
That's what he's saying. They said
what
too,
he's
right?
saying, right.
Yeah. I mean, I think the truth is somewhere in between. Like I think probably it was kind of like a weirdly edited conversation. It was kind of chopped up. But I also think that their shared worldview. Yeah. I imagine the producer said, this is a big part of this relationship. Let's highlight it because they're a little different, you know, and I actually think and that's an undertone we see. I think it affects kind of like how other people talk about them, to be honest. Like, so when it's not Joe who just straight up hates Nick, but when Kate shows up. So Kate was the other woman who Nick said, I love you to, and then he pulled it back when she said she could never be religious, for people to remember. That would have been an interesting choice because she pulls up and she towers over homeboy.
Yes.
But she clearly does not share his. I think they're I feel pretty comfortable guessing that they don't have a lot in common. And Jordan is talking to Brendan, who Annie picked. Or it was Annie's number one, but he didn't get to I love you fast enough. And I thought it was an interesting, like Jordan kept being like, I don't think she's right for you, bro. I actually think they belong together. And I felt like there was a little bit of an undertone again with that, like these people have a lot in common. They see the world the same way. Yeah. He was saying it was because, you know, she's really quirky and you're smooth. And maybe there's some truth to that. But I feel like this is this couple is together for a reason. Yeah.
And also, the Love is Blind producers also made a choice. It's interesting that it runs parallel to his Instagram rant, which they did not know, of course, that it was going to come out before these episodes. But they do linger on everybody's disdain for him. You know, like they are trying to convey to us that he is not liked by anybody else pretty much in the crew, which is something we also do not see a lot.
That's true.
Intercouple relation, like intercouple things, unless it's actually a conflict between the two or something like that. No, but it's just like we're just hanging out and we're like, hey, I don't like kicking it with this dude. And they linger on that.
Yeah, I don't like Joe. I don't like it, but like I have some issues with him. But I thought it was really fun. I mean, because he was clearly drunk too. So to your point, like Joe and Brent, there was a point where Joe and Jordan, who are clearly friends, were talking about how, and this I felt was sort of sexually charged, where they were talking about how Brendan would lay her down and Nick wouldn't, and there was some insinuations there. But then Joe was just like, I don't F with him. I was dying in that scene. That was a really funny scene. Like we never see that.
Yeah, and they let it sit. He talked for like 45 seconds about how much he didn't like this dude, and it has nothing to do with anything. You know, it's almost like the producers were like, "We hate this dude too. Let's talk about how much everybody hates him."
Let him cook. So we finally see the Kate-Nick interaction, and there's clearly no attraction there. They never would have worked. Yeah. But he comes in with, I felt, a very rehearsed, like, you know, I was sorry I was not direct about being in love with two people. And she's like, yeah, you're full of it. You told me I can't get there with her. He says, no, I didn't. Who knows? That'd be reunion or all the tape. Let's see if that's true. But he tells her, and this kind of answers our question, he says he told Annie that he said, I love you to Kate. I think Ali tells Annie, I'm kind of getting different stories here about how this actually went down. Nick walks up. She kind of gives him the silent treatment. But Annie says that Nick was honest with her. Yeah. It seems like he kind of was, but I think he undersold how things actually went down with Kate. That's my read of the situation.
And also, I think that part of it felt like she was saving face a little bit. Like, she didn't want to be embarrassed in public and just be like, yeah, we covered it. It's good. And then the actual conversation will come.
Yeah, that would be a big reunion one, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think it feels like that's one where I kind of want to see the footage back, see, I want a little bit of conversation about like the timing of it all. Because the way it was presented to us in the pods was that he just flipped a switch, right? After he found out she wasn't religious. But I think if he actually told her, I can't get there with her, that would be pretty damning. So we shall see. All right, let's just do Joe here because we talked about him. I found all of the scenes between Joe and Madison to just be absolutely unbearable to watch. Their fights are like the most boring types of fights. Both parties I just did not enjoy in any of these conversations. Joe was kind of just eating over and over.
Yeah.
I'm not on her side. Like, she seems like a good person. I have no problems with her. But the way she fights is like deeply annoying to me.
Yes. The way they communicate with each other is just wildly annoying. It's just, again, this is another fight that I rewatched because I was like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
What are they fighting about? And apparently, like, he was shocked that she was not, like, that she's all in and that there were no doubts and you got to take steps and you got to do this. And it was the thing about Joe, and like, this is bad for Denver. Feels like an all-time tough hang city right now. And we need some like good hang folks because there's not a lot of good hangs. Joe does not seem like a fun dude to be. Like, he may be the guy who's like, he may say something funny every once in a while, but like communicating with both of them feels like torture. So
the one thing that's kind of interesting is he sort of, I wouldn't say flips the switch, but in the first batch of episodes, you get the sense like, is he actually attracted to her? Yeah. And he's getting drunk and picking a fight. But in this batch of episodes, mostly she gets mad at him for like you said, basic miscommunication stuff, and then he kind of buys in completely into the relationship. Like, when they go to his place, he's just like, I was in the wrong. By the way, do I sound like a snob if I say this? I just don't trust anyone who only reads self-help books.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, I'm
comfortable giving that take.
Here's another take.
And both of them, by the way, say that.
I don't know anybody who only reads self-help books. I know people who buy a lot of self-help books.
Yeah.
Don't know anybody who... What I'm saying is, I don't think they actually read those books. Like, the people who have only self-help books in their collection never read the self-help books. They're just there to say, I bought a self-help book. Like, nobody's ever been like, I thumbed through every page of this self-help book's great. So is that one. They just buy them and say that they have self-help books.
You know who loves self-help books? Athletes. Athletes love self-help books.
There you go.
She meets his family. And he's like, this is how I felt in the pods, So I guess it's interesting because we're gonna get to will they or won't they, but in this batch of episodes, he's kind of locking in in a way that was a little bit surprising after the first 6 episodes.
Yes, I think I don't want to. Yeah, I don't. I think part of the locking in is a little bit about the perception here.
I think
is
so
a little bit about the like. I look really like somebody who did not like her because of how she looks, and I got to figure out how to clean this thing up a little bit.
All right, moving on. There's not much to talk about with them. Truly did not enjoy watching a lot of their scenes.
Yeah.
Ali and Anton. So this one's interesting. So Ali and Anton, very little drama between these two. First 6 episodes. Even the Mexico scenes, they're like, we just get like very short. When there's a couple who's done giving you drama, you get like short scenes where they're like, something cute happened. Oh, wow, he jokes about wearing makeup. Okay, cool. Their lifestyle, it comes to the forefront, and it's quite interesting because they both work nights and they talk about this, and he does like transportation logistics and she is a nurse, I believe. But we show a pretty frank conversation about money where she talks about how she's going to be starting school. She needs to be supported. She doesn't clean. She needs someone to pay for her Botox. And they talk about having separate accounts. And she's like, I don't want you to see how much I spent on Botox. I'm like, yeah. So they're kind of setting the stage. It's really expensive.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Think it is.
I
wouldn't know. Okay. They meet his friend and his friend's girlfriend. Okay, so I'm dying to talk to you about this scene.
Yes, yeah.
So, first of all, the friend's like a character. Rolls up, party shirt, bring the shots for Latin. So I'm like, this is because usually friend scenes are really boring.
Yeah,
but this fella rolls up, and then his girlfriend, she's like, yeah, we've been together 4 months. I'm like,
right. I didn't realize that at first. It took me a second at first until the bathroom scene where she was like, it's been 4 months. I'm like, why is she there? Like, how did this
well, now we know why she's there, because she's a chaos agent. So it seems, again, everything has been fine with this couple outside of some slight like foreshadowing, like Kenny Porter lifestyle tension. So we find out that Allie's only been in Denver for a year and she doesn't love it. They're talking about moving to Florida. Also interesting. So the girlfriend's like, I'm going to the bathroom. So they go to the bathroom. We show Anton and his friend. Anton says, if she said yes, I'd be the happiest man. So fine. On the ladies' side, they're mic'd up. Yeah. This is such a great reality trope, by the way. People mic'd up in the bathroom. It's like they kind of forget. I don't know.
You know something good is happening. You know something good is going to happen when you have B-roll and just sound subtitles. B-roll and subtitles. You know somebody's going to give you some juice.
This gal knew exactly what she was doing to get screen time. And you know what?
Good job. Yes.
Good. Well done. So she
said, I'm getting invited to this reunion. I want to put me on Perfect Match.
So the friend says she was surprised because Anton wasn't the Marion type before this. He likes strip clubs. Him and Joseph, the friend, go. Allie's like, pardon moi?
Yeah.
Strip clubs? And she's like, wait, that was when they were single. And the friend basically insinuates that this was like a few months ago. They've been doing this. Allie says Anton told her that Joe is the party guy, and Melissa, the girlfriend's like, no, it's both of them. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, but I'm sure that's over. Like way too late, trying to clean up.
Yeah.
So they get back to the table, and Allie says, you're in trouble in front of everyone, but we don't see the fight. And then
the most annoying way to start to start something. Like grow up.
Yeah, really. Like I don't think I've ever picked a fight with a partner in public, which is I just don't understand that instinct.
And then also to like not just pick a fight, just to be like, I'm going to make you wait to find out what you're in trouble for, and we're going to have this awkward lunch, and then when we get home, we're going to have a conversation. Don't ever do that. Don't talk to me like that, please.
I'm the king of I'm fine when I'm not fine in a public place. Everything's fine. Okay, so but then later we don't see a fight. It's not shown to us. But then later at the meetup, like what is it, like a cowboy bar? I don't know what to call it. There's a bowl, She tells the girls that they had a conversation she tells them that Anton said he hasn't been to strip clubs in over a year. The friend is saying otherwise, the friend's girlfriend who hates Anton. Mm-hmm. And then she says she's worried about his lifestyle. He comes from work every morning. He has a beer in the morning, but he's working nights. There's a lot going on here. I guess my first question for you is, do you believe Anton, or do you believe his girlfriend's friend that he has been a partying guy recently?
See, I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if he's partying. Like, who gives a This dude, first of all, she's been with this guy for 4 months.
Yeah.
So how many times do you think she's hung out with Anton in those 4 months to like get to know him? Like how often, in the first 4 months, there's not, I mean, unless she was a friend and then they started dating or something like that. But the dude drank and went to strip clubs as a single man with a job.
Yeah.
He already stays up all night. Where else you going to go but hanging out in the strip clubs? Nothing bad happens in the Denver strip club unless you're John Morant. Like, you should just go out there and have a good time and enjoy yourself. Like, I don't understand why this is a source of controversy. Unless, clearly she has an issue with strip clubs as a concept, which is something that, like, kind of, you also got to get over. It's the 90s. Like, figure it out.
I just didn't. Do you think Denver's sneakily, because there's some sneaky strip club cities around America? There's the ones that everyone knows are known for their strip clubs. But, like, does Denver have, like, a sneaky strip club scene that we don't know about? I feel like every strip club is probably named the Mile High Club in Denver.
But this is also a failure on your part, Mina, who was on with Woody Page and did not ask him these important questions. I feel like you should ask him about the
I just Googled Denver strip club to see if there's any funny names. No, it's all just the normal. Shotgun Willies, Ladies in Confidential. Just a few named Ranch, Bear Assets. Nothing
bare
like
assets.
mounting. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, but I suspect this is a woman who's dated party guys before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I can see why that might be a matter of contention for her personally. I'll say that.
I guess so. I mean, also she works nights. Like if he's out at, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess she's got some issues with that.
Cutting back to what I was saying, this is not one where I was like, ooh, somebody's very much so in the wrong. I was like, I could see being a little bit, but I also don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think the easy resolution is like, yeah, I did that when I was single. I don't do it anymore. We're together.
I won't. Yeah,
That's
right.
it.
And he's been, by all accounts, like completely fine. Like nothing.
Yes.
He's done nothing objectionable. Yeah, it's a.
They also had a weird passive aggressive way of talking to each other when they were making breakfast. It was just like you being a little, like that, like
weird
it just kind of
tensions. Yeah, it's like less than KB and Edmond who are like aggressive, but they're showing us a lot of scenes of them that are like subtly tense.
Yeah, like it's just like they don't get along. It's like they're not friends. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an odd dynamic. I don't know what to make of this couple right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I think they're a little bit tricky.
And we got to remember they proposed at the first episode, and it seems like the couple. This actually feels more like a Married at First Sight couple than a Love Is Blind couple. It feels like a couple who just get to know each other for the first time.
That's such a good point. There aren't many scenes where I feel like I like them together.
Yeah, right.
Which is weird because they don't have fights. So usually a couple that gets together immediately and doesn't do anything objectionable, granted, to be fair, there's not many scenes where I like many of these couples together generally, but they don't they have surprisingly few like cute scenes together for a not confrontational couple. All right, let's do Megan and Jordan next. This is probably the least amount of conflict of any of the couples. And okay, well, I've been dying to hear your takes
you're
on
right.
this.
It probably least, yeah, you're right. Least
they
of all
don't
the
get any
couples,
fights.
probably. Yeah, no fights. Yeah.
Because you remember in Mexico, she was just like, he's kind of being annoying, and then it was not that dramatic. It's funny because at the beginning of this, after the couple hang out, they also talked about Nick. I don't know if you saw that. She was like, was hanging out with Nick that bad? And Jordan's like, I saw Annie, and now it makes sense. And they kind of share a look. And it's like, there's just a lot of innuendo around that couple and the way people talk about them. So they seem fine. Even like the fight they get in is not a real fight. And he's really good at disarming conflict. I've noticed that too. Yeah. Even when she's kind of like, he's very good at, he seems like an adult. So we learn a little bit more about her. She has a place in LA, but she wants to buy a place in Denver. We talk about his place.
$1.5 million that she will receive for her place. 1.5 mil.
We'll get to the place. I have a take about the place. There's an interesting scene I want to talk to you about where there's a lot of conversations between the two of them about his son, and she gets very emotional about like meeting him, meeting his mom. The order of operations is she meets the mom okays it, she meets the son, which hasn't happened yet. And she tells Jordan, this is a conversation I want to get your thoughts on, that, her love language is gift giving. And he basically has to like tell her without telling her that she cannot spoil his son.
Yes.
But he's like, my son likes holding hands and hugs and experiences. And what did you make of, and then they go to the apartment, Jordan's apartment, which is nice, by the way. And they see Luca's room and everything. So just put a pin in this. What did you make of, because their entire relationship is this is like the main focal point is the single dad aspect. What did you think of it? How did you think of how he handled it?
Okay, because I have a question for you, but let me ask this first. So as I'm watching this feels impossible. Like this feels pretty impossible.
Like it's not going to work.
Because, all right, so as somebody who has been a step parent and then is now also introducing a step parent into my family dynamic, it is probably the single most challenging thing that you can do in a relationship in terms of integrating somebody into raising a child who has had like a runway of being raised without you, right? In relationships that take long times to work out, it's a process. And the idea that you can kind of like take this process in the course of weeks and have somebody integrated as this kid's mom, like she's going to be this kid's mom in like 3 weeks, it just feels as though it's so incredibly difficult to execute. And those little things that you learn along the way of like, hey, don't buy my kid
Yeah.
Legos every time there's a like that stuff takes a whole lot of time. And the idea that you can just learn that in a few weeks, and like they're gonna get like theoretically in their mind
Yeah.
they'll get married. She'll be his mom, but like for the next 6 months to a year, she's learning this
Yeah.
kid and what this kid needs and stuff like that. It just feels like a really not tenable, an untenable situation when you integrate step parenting into something like Love Is Blind.
I think them getting married now is starting to feel impossible to me.
Yeah.
However, I could see them staying together and
Mm.
figuring this out over time. They are like the only couple left, to be candid, that I actually enjoy watching scenes of them. I genuinely
Yes.
think they like each other and like spending time together and have like real chemistry, and have good conversations. But I think it's too fast to do what you're
Yeah.
doing, which is like to like shotgun it and we'll figure it out with the kids. You can't.
Yes.
That's not the kind of thing. I think that to your point, I think like she seems really overwhelmed, and I think she's actually handling everything pretty well. But I feel like it's a little too much. But we could be wrong. I don't know.
It's hard. Like I think in all of the parenting, like step parenting is one of the hardest, most
Yeah.
thankless things that you could possibly do, right? And to do that at such a quick pace, I could see where she's overwhelmed. I could see how she is trying to like navigate this without even having met the kid yet, and in a
Yeah.
process where, as part of the process, you got to meet the mom first, and then
Yeah.
you meet the kid. Like that, all of that just feels like a lot.
She's going to meet him off camera. That's probably going to be a plot point in the next batch
Yeah.
of episodes. She met the mom. Mom was cool. She said, so other things happen with them. He meets her family, her mom and her sister on the anniversary of her dad's death. I really liked her family.
Yes, her family was really cool.
Super cool.
The the wagon made an appearance. Shout out to her sister who had that.
When her sister
yeah.
finds out, when he says, "Oh, I would just reverse it," her sister's like, "How progressive of you."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Again, we could do a little bit more Googling on the process here, but yes.
I even liked like there was a moment where she asks if she can share a conversation that they had in the morning, and it's about how she was burying her feelings and didn't bring them up and expecting him to read her mind like she has in the past relationships, and it was a nice conversation. I don't know. I just thought this was like a very mature meeting. I thought everybody was I thought the mom and sister were both really nice, really.
Meg emerging as the most normal person this season.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, I really think that's true. She is.
Yeah.
We talked about the tough hangs. I continue to believe these are probably the best hangs of everybody, which is again a wild development. Other scenes we see him making a Crystal Light and chicken smoothie, which is one of the worst things I've ever seen. They go home shopping. Oh, sorry.
Activated my gag reflexes watching him.
That was crazy.
Watching him do that chicken. I was so disgusted by him
really gross. It was really
smoothing
gross.
a chicken that there's no point in smoothing a chicken. It's a cooked chicken. Like there's no point in doing
Just
that.
eat it.
Eat the
He was
damn
like,
chicken.
she was like, "Why don't you make eggs?" And he's like, "That would take more time." No, it wouldn't.
No,
it would not take more time. It would not make more. What you're doing is not a time saver. It's insane and disgusting.
Yes.
So you mentioned this. They go home shopping. She tells the realtor she's looking in the 1.2 range. It's a 6-bedroom for 2. Must be nice to live in Denver, not LA. This is an interesting one because, well, first of all, can I just say, house was not that nice. Where's this at? The backyard was not nice. They were like looking at their neighbors' houses.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're gonna get a $2 million home, at least get some space.
Yeah.
And it was like a weird, like, fake grass looking at, like, whatever. But this was an interesting moment because, they're kind of two different worlds financially has been a plot point, but it's never actually been a source of fighting with them, and it isn't here either. I'm so fascinated. I want to get your take on how he's kind of navigating it because he says he didn't know her budget until she said it to the realtor, and then he says to the camera, not to her, she doesn't think I'm mooching off of me, but I don't want to feel like I'm mooching off of her. What was your take on this whole thing?
One of the problems that I felt like was going to have, like you got a blue collar dude.
Yeah.
And it brought up an interesting question for me that I want just throwing it out there. if the roles were reversed, right, and you had a single mom,
Yeah.
not a lot of income, like falling in love on Love Is Blind with a very wealthy dude,
Yeah.
how first of all would the like fan opinion be different? I feel like there would be a lot more skepticism about their relationship and their couple to begin with,
Really?
and
Because
I
that's the
think that
normalized Cinderella
that's the normal.
story.
That's the normal. But
Yeah.
it's also just kind of like this woman is trying to get this dude's money. Like she's trying to get, like there would be. I think that would be part of more of the conversation. Be more skepticism
Yeah.
about their relationship, and I don't know, where that falls into somebody being like, I don't want to mooch. Like there's just so much that I think would be different if the roles reversed. But I just think like for him, it's a something that is just sort of centered in the patriarchy. It's like I just don't want to like mooch off my partner
Yeah.
when you can't really mooch off of your partner. It's your partner. Like you're buying a home together.
I think the reason it's a testament to both of them that it hasn't been an actual point of contention. It's a subtle thing, right? And
Right.
he has feelings about it, and there's moments where she wants the nicer things, but you never actually see them fighting about it.
Right.
Even little moments like he's never had burrata at the restaurant. They're never. It never leads to any actual conflict. It's unconventional. We don't see this.
Yeah.
This is something we don't see a lot, which is what does it look like when you've got the woman being the high earner and the man being the single parent. It's a new dynamic on reality TV, and I find it really interesting to watch. I really do think they both have been pretty cool about all of it, though, to this point.
When Jordan, first 6 episodes, all we know about Jordan is he's a single dad. What did you think his parental status was with his son?
I thought it was just him.
Yeah.
Like the kid just lived with him.
Yes. Yes. I did too. And I was a little surprised in this batch of episodes to find out that, like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to police, like, how people talk about themselves and their parenting, right? But,
Oh, you think he's not giving enough? Okay, so on his own IG, he posted, let me find this. I'm going to get the words right. A picture of his son with not showing his face, but like the diabetes, and just talked about how meaningful it was to him to be able to share, what it's like to have a son with that. And then in his comments, he wrote, just in all caps, just want to go on the record saying Luca has an amazing mother and stepdad since it's not brought up.
yeah.
So he is insinuating that he did talk about it a lot. And
Well,
it's been
I would
edited out.
I would
Yeah.
imagine that this is really no fault to him. I mean, I think that them calling it single dad so often, but I feel like there's no doubt in my mind that Jordan was in the pods because when Meg talked about it, she knew exactly the situation, right? Like she knew you got the moms, you got the stepdad, he's got all this. This feels like a producer editing,
Interesting.
like
Yeah,
this characterization and
little
because
bit of
I
a
don't feel like
Sleepless
Jordan
in
is hiding
Seattle
anything.
vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he's hiding anything. I
Yeah.
just feel as though they presented it in a way that made it seem as though this dude is him and his kid and nobody else.
Right, I
When
see
he
what you're
has
saying,
a
yeah.
full 50-50 split with this kid and their mom and stepdad.
Does the fact that he does have a split and that he does have a supportive ex who he appears to get along with well, who's in this with him, make you a little bit more hopeful that it could work out with him? Because it's a different situation that she's walking into than if it was just him.
Yeah,
and, she had to immediately become mommy, That's not really what she's walking into here.
Right. So, yeah, she's walking into, I guess because she's walking into a situation in which half the week it's just the two of you guys, and then the other half of the week you got this kid and you can just be a couple for a little bit of that time. I think it probably allows you to ease it in. Like I don't know what that's like, so I can't speak, but like, like easing that part into it probably helps a little bit, but it's still, I mean, you're still going to be with this kid like as a parent during this process. But I think it probably does make it easier than just like, hey, you're going to be with me and this kid 99% of the time where we got to like, figure this out together.
kind of the main story of the season, feels like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the most interesting, like the one that feels
the
like
most
it has
interesting
stakes and interest and
Totally agree. Stakes, couple who's actually likable together.
Yeah.
The couple of who I actually think likes each other.
Yeah.
Oh, she has a scene with Mike before we move on. So Mike from the Pods, aka our most disliked person, shows up, and
Mike also was the one that everybody said was scamming. Like the comments were saying that he was some sort of scammer or something like that.
Is that so?
When the cast was revealed, there were folks who came out in the mentions like, this dude owes me a bunch of money. He's a scammer and all this stuff. So there's more to add to the Mike
interesting
backstory.
Well, I really liked their interaction in that I felt like he was trying to like big time her, like, oh, I'm so sorry I made you cry, and she's like, it's fine, I'm good. Yeah. And then there's a moment where he's like, the cocky part of me wanted to slide in your DMs, and she's like, that's why I didn't choose you.
She's like, thank you for not doing that.
There's zero interest on her part.
Interesting tidbit. KB was on AD's pod, Love is Blind pod, said that she was dating Mike for a little bit.
Cannot
give me
fathom.
that show. Give me that show. Give me those scenes, please.
All right. Well, KB, final couple, KB and Edmond, two people who I don't think would even be friends.
No. Yeah.
I cannot fathom these people hanging out outside of this context. So they had the crazy fight the last episode about her not having sex with him and him crying. The next day, they're calm. Maybe he was drunk too. I don't know. He apologizes. But it's funny because they had the first get together with all the couples in Mexico where everybody got drunk, and the second one it was like everybody cleaning up their messes. Like all the guys were like, "Yeah, man, I just really love her." Like, dead sober. She tells the girls he's not an alpha male in this setting. I took note of that. The next time we see them, he's trying to get in the cabinet at their new apartment. The mom comes. I wanted to ask you about this. Edmund's mom visits.
Yeah.
And it goes well. She's nice. Everybody's nice to each other. She's going to get her bead girl in Ghana to give her some beads. And she says she has 4 other daughters-in-law. Kind of throws them under the bus a little bit.
Right.
But, this seems fine in this moment.
Yeah.
Like, before we get to the big fight that they have at the get together, because we don't see a lot of them in these episodes. Yeah. What did you make of this interaction with the mom?
Felt fine. It felt like I understood a little bit of like his dynamic with his mom. Yeah. I do not for a second still with you believe that KB likes this dude at all.
Not at all.
The mom, she just kind of was, and it also, the way she was kind of talking about him was kind of like, I'm used to taking care of, like it was almost like this,
like he's a kid.
Like he's a kid, and also like a continuance of her social work or something. Like she's doing charity, hanging out with this dude. It just did not feel good. Yeah. And she talked a little bit about that on AD's pod also. It was just kind of like, spoiler alert, the pod makes it feel as though
they're not together. Yeah.
Yeah.
The mom's like, well, what did you draw you to him? And she's like, I really liked his vulnerability. And because of my work as a social worker, he was able to open up to me. And I was like, did you just compliment yourself? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So there's another scene of them rollerblading because he's really into rollerblades.
And also, I do want to mention that she said on 80s pod also that this is really interesting that he was sort of talking to somebody else, and the other woman was in sort of the women's area talking loud about Edmond and how she didn't think anybody else was taking him seriously, and so she was just going to talk about how much she loved it. And so KB went to Edmond and confronted him about, hey, are you like seeing somebody else and all this stuff? And they got into an argument that was so loud and, whatever. She kind of said we were going at it. She said the mic's cut off.
Ooh.
In their pod. And she kind of even speculated a little bit as to like, did it, where did they cut it? Like jokingly, did they cut it off? But she was just saying had a full-blown argument in the pod over this thing.
Why didn't they show that to us?
It feels like probably that argument was kind of the simple because did we talk about this, a perfect match with AD and
it got too intense.
It got too intense. Yeah.
And they didn't want to poison them because you do have to make these couples believable to some extent. Yeah. I've seen some discourse on the internet about how he shouldn't be on this show. Like, there's it's speculation. He's an adult. I don't unless he has actual documented histories or reasons why he shouldn't be on here. He's not done anything violent. He's not done any. He's not. I think the insinuation is like they think people are insinuating like mentally his mental health is not that of someone who should be in this situation.
Which I think they do. I guess these like psychological evaluations while they're getting people on the show, but there's also been just like criticism of that, again, discourse online about the idea that this show kind of just lets like any black person they want on the show without sort of vetting them in the same way they vet everybody else, which we would have to like go through. I don't know how valid that is, but I think they're just saying like, hey, you got this other dude who was just on in DC who had a whole other family, and so like there was sort of that conversation. I think for me, it's fine that he's on the show. I don't see. Yeah, I think it's fine that he's on the show. I do, however, think at some point if things got that heated in the pod, or if there's a couple that feels like it is heading towards such a nasty disaster, then maybe you could step in and not show it, or not have, I know they've done that in the past, or like do what we speculated they did. I think it was last season with the watch guy, and just say, look, like go
Leo.
like you're not Leo, you're not coming on the trip. Like we're gonna nip this in the bud. Like there are things I feel like that could be done. But I think it's fine that he was cast on the show.
I think so too. I don't think that. He's just kind of all over the place. But I don't think that's. If you couldn't have people like that in reality television, you wouldn't have reality television. I do want to talk to you about the fight that they get into, because I went back and I was like, did I misinterpret this? And I think I spoiler alert, came out of it not liking either of them. But so they're at the get together, everything's fine, Edmund's riding the bull,
Nick's riding the bull a few times.
So Edmund's talking to Annie and Nick, and Annie basically says something like he's perfect, and Edmund says, wow, must be really amazing to hear that from someone. That's crazy. KB sort of walks up, and she interprets it as a passive-aggressive attack on her. Yeah. And she picks a fight with him. And then he takes, I won't say he takes the bait, but he says, well, it would be nice to hear that. And then she gets really mad at him, leaves. He follows her. He's like, I love you. She's like, I don't want to hear this from you. Da-da-da. She keeps interrupting him in a way that I frankly do not like. I just don't like interrupters. And then Jordan tells him, just go to her, be accountable, say you're sorry. And the episode ends with them at odds. Potentially explosive fight. Okay. So I want to walk you through the first time I watched this, I was like, KB is trying to pick a fight with him. And she's looking for the fight. And we now have a pattern of that with her, where I have felt like this woman does not like this man, and she is looking to pick fights. However, I also think he was being passive-aggressive. I think he said that for a reason, and I think that he has probably been annoying in their arguments. Like when she's like, I don't want you to just keep saying I love you to me when we're fighting. Yeah. Ultimately, where I've landed is these are two people who have completely different communication styles who should just not be anywhere close to a relationship. So that's where I ended up with all this.
Yeah, I feel like these are two people, like you said earlier, who don't seem like they would spend a single second hanging out with each other.
No, yeah.
And they're forcing this relationship thing because they're in a reality show. And it actually feels a little cruel that they're going to get to the altar. Actually. Yeah,
they showed them in the... Yeah. Just like, damn, really?
It actually feels kind of messed up that... Because for a dude like Edmund, who comes back from that fight and is like, I'm going to die. I'm dead. I'm going to die. Like, using this sort of, like, language. It's a little scary, like, little kind of scary. To be in a position where he's going to stand at the altar in front of these people, seeing his emotional state, and, like, she's going to say no.
Could be really bad.
It could be really bad, and it just doesn't feel good to watch. Like there are other couples who felt really annoying, really hard. This feels like we're heading towards a real deal train wreck
Yeah.
that I don't want. I actually do not want to see. I don't want to. I don't want to be a part of it. Really,
That's a great
to
point.
see.
Yeah, no, I don't want to
like
see this
that,
story
that
play out.
fallout.
I wish they would break up right now. That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Because we saw her, in, at least at the wedding dress. The
Yeah.
preview made it look like they all at least make it to the wedding.
Yeah, maybe it was the fit. Maybe it was the
it might have
boring
been
episode that we always
misleading.
have where they wear it for the
Right.
for the and they don't get to the altar, which I think would be for the best. Like it just feels like somebody's got to step in and say y'all can have this conversation before y'all actually get there.
Did you feel like he was being passive aggressive, or am I misinterpret? Because ultimately, I did feel like it was more on her for picking the fight, and I hated how she handled it, and I hated how she was interrupting him. But I also got the feeling that he is passive aggressive to her, probably in a way that sets her off.
I think it's in the middle, actually. I think his first reaction was a genuine reaction. It was like, wow, that would be really cool to hear.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I think when she clocked it,
Latched
and then
onto it,
when he realized, oh, this is pissing her off, I think he kind of started to egg on a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's when it became passive aggressive. I think he was kind
I
of
think
like,
you're
oh,
probably
well,
right,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, that would be nice to hear. Like I think that he was sort of felt that was a moment to sort of like needle her a little bit.
I just feel like she hates him, honestly. Like
she does, and I think, but what's crazy is when you go back and you talk all this alpha male stuff, you talk all this, I need this dude to be, and this dude wept like a child on like the first or second time that y'all talked, and you told him, I'm gonna comfort. I love that. I love your emotion. I want to, but that's not the dude you want at all. You do not want a type of dude to do that. That's the end of it. Like that's where you. And I don't know if she thought it'd be different outside the pod or whatever. But you're dating an emotional dude. You're dating a not alpha male type of dude.
It's such a good point. I think it's funny because this show is supposed to be like, wow, what happens when they see it in the real world? Is their looks get in the way, but in reality, a lot of times it's not all about that at all. It's people trying to date outside their types in the pods, and then confronted with the reality. Because a lot of these people are like, I don't like Jordan and Megan are dating outside their types, right? Joe and Madison, whatever. But this feels like one where it's like the relationship that they have in the pods is not actually the relationship that she wants. Yeah. And he is not. I do want to say he's not completely blameless. Like he handles these things in a very immature. Mm-hmm. He almost sounds like a kid when I'm dead. I was like, God, you sound like a child. Like it's just not. Yeah. It's not a good scene. All right, before we get to will they or won't they in power rankings, we do see Patrick again. So he rejoins the show and tells the guys, gives them some information about. There's two things that happen. He tells everyone about what happened with Casey, and then he talks to Anna.
Yeah.
So Patrick says Casey. They got back to Denver, and she was like, I don't want to do the show. And he's like, cool, can we just talk? She won't even get on the phone with him. And then she tells him she's keeping the ring and cuts off communications. He also reveals that the breakup we saw was hours after the reveal. So she didn't even sleep on it and talk to him the next day. Immediately after the reveal, she was like, yeah, this is not happening. What did you make of all of these revelations from Patrick?
First of all, disclaimer, like, let's stop sending her death threats and stuff like that. Let's not do that, internet.
Any of these people, don't comment on their... don't be a psycho.
It's stupid. But this is about as much of, like, as villainous as you could possibly be on the show.
It's pretty bad.
To do that. Because I just can't get out of my head her, like, pouncing on him and kissing on him and then getting off and taking a couple steps to the door, and then coming back and jumping on him again, and kissing on him, and walking off, and gaslighting this dude when like a day before, 2 days before, when he had doubts about this, you went into full like phone
sales
sex
mode.
Operator to seal the deal with this dude. Like it is as bad of a showing as I can remember on Love is Blind.
I saw her talking about it on, I think, just like a People magazine post where she was basically just saying, I didn't want to hurt his feelings. But it's like, you did the thing that hurt his feelings the most, which is you weren't honest. You dragged it out. And the guys were like, sounds like she's gaslighting you. Like, everyone kind of picked up on what was going down. Oh, please. Producer Charlie is saying she went on Vile Files and said Patrick refused to see her. I don't believe you.
Yeah, Patrick thought y'all were still in a relationship. Like Patrick thought y'all were still together because of the way that you were talking about this dude in the hotel.
So I do think he was not that hurt.
Yeah.
I think because I believe, and you clocked this, he was not over Anna. And he tells her, you were my number one. It would have been us to the end. And she pushes back on that. She's like, if that was the case, you wouldn't have pivoted to someone else. We don't really get a good explanation for why she left.
Yeah.
She says, the only thing I caught was like her saying she walked out. It was something I struggled with.
Mm-hmm.
They allude to her having, issues outside of the show. And she also mentions to him, there was you and Blake.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack here. What did you... This was not an interaction of two people who were ever going to get back together, clearly. Yeah. What did you make of this encounter?
But it was revealing to me that he was more hurt, seemed more hurt and emotional about her. Because I think what happened before is, I think also like what happened before was that, with the other, that she made, like, it was just kind of a reaffirming of the things that he was insecure about himself, right? Like that was kind of his worst nightmare moment. This is somebody who was actually in love with, who he wanted to make work, who ghosted him, which a lot of the viewers really pointed out, the producers, including her, saying, have you ever ghosted anybody? No, in like the first couple episodes, and then she proceeds to do that. I thought this was a pretty bad heel turn for Anna. I thought turning it around on him and saying, well, you couldn't have been into me. You went on and proposed to somebody else, was actually a real kind of messed up thing for her to do to him.
Yeah. They don't show her apologizing at all, basically.
At all.
Which doesn't mean that she didn't do it. So I'm going to give her a little minor benefit of the doubt. It's entirely possible she just apologized to him and they decided not to show it. But it's not shown. And the things they did show, I thought, you're right. I thought she turned it on him. It didn't look good. It felt like her just trying to absolve herself of responsibility for ghosting him. Even if, like, there's a little bit of validity to her point, right? Like, if he was so in love with her, why did he turn around? But like, it's also, that's the show.
That's the show. Yeah, people do it all the time. That's what happens on the show.
How it goes. But I agree. It wasn't a great showing. Part of me thinks, though, that perhaps she apologized and it wasn't shown. But I would have liked to see that. So that's it for Patrick. We'll see if Casey, we get the reunion maybe. I mean, she's out. Yeah. She's doing an interview. She's telling her side.
A lot of like mid-season damage control this season.
Yeah.
That we didn't get before, where it's like a lot of people are like, I got to clean this up ASAP.
Nick was doing a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of mid-season damage control. All right. Before we get to power rankings, will they say I do? I don't have any signs, so I'm just going to do a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay. I'm in New York.
All right.
Let's start with the easy ones. Edmond and KB. Yeah, that's a big fat no.
Big no. And I do not want them to make it to the altar. Please end this now.
Nick and Annie.
Mm-mm.
They will. I think she's gonna push this thing to the end.
I think she will. I do think she will. And I cannot wait to see her wedding hair. But but I think he's gonna say no.
Oh, I feel like maybe we saw her freaking out. I don't know.
I want to see the Yelp reviews for her salon. Throwing that out there.
Sometimes I will say the best haircuts I have gotten have been from people with like weird hair.
Okay. All right.
Sometimes like lady hairstylists, like they just do weird stuff on themselves. I don't know. Okay. Joe and Madison, still a no for me.
Still a no.
Aww. Ali and Anton.
I don't think so.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I think it's a yes. I don't know.
I don't think so. We're still no's about. They just don't like each other. They don't seem to like each other. I just don't think that I just think it's just two people who just do not. There's nothing there. Like part of the absence of fighting is like maybe just an absence of passion too. Like they just kind of don't seem like they know each other.
Finally, the only couple we feel actually likes each other.
Yes.
Jordan and Sparkle Megan. I think they're going to say yes.
I'm still no for now. I'm not
saying it's a good thing that they're going to say yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, but for our discussion. But I just think the way they're editing this season, they feel like the only love story we've got.
They do, but also I feel they're the closest. I'm still all no's across the board, but I do think that they're the closest yes I have. The thing about Megan and Jordan that I think could also lead to a no is that they also both seem pretty logical.
Yeah.
Like I could see Megan.
Yeah, I could her being like, we need more time.
Yeah, like a logistical.
And I could see him being like, you're right. I could totally see that. Yeah, they do seem like the most logical people.
Yeah, like a logical decision towards like a no.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll be at the reunion and say, hey, we tried it out. We dated for a couple more months. We were to get, and it just decided not to. I could see that. Like I could see a cordial situation totally where they're hanging out at the reunion and he's wearing TJ Maxx and she's wearing Giuseppe and they just like hug it out.
Giuseppe.
I passed by Giuseppe store recently and it was on my brain.
Random pull. Okay. I can't believe he's never had burrata.
Yeah,
is that bougie of me? I feel like they got burrata at like Chili's now.
Burrata's like an Olive Garden thing. It's a
burrata anywhere. Okay,
but I will say burrata sounds like burrata does. I do a double take because burrata does sound like a meat. It sounds like a pork, right? Doesn't burrata sound like it should be like a pork?
Yeah,
or something. And so every time I see burrata, I'm like, I forget it's a little cheese. Yeah,
it's like a ball of cheese.
I could see a little moment for him.
My kid loves burrata.
Now that's a little bougie.
That's a little bit, I know. $18 burrata appetizers. Okay, power rankings of episode 7 through 9. I'm just gonna do it off the dome. Number 1, Jordan, most likable person. 2, Meg, easy, right?
Mm-hmm. I actually think Meg is like a number 1. Maybe gets a point for being a dad, but I think Meg is just like like I like the way
clearly
that
the only person you'd want to be sitting next to at a dinner party.
Yes, and her family, like they're 3 for 3
I really liked
so
her
far.
Family, 3, I'm gonna go Ali, just because the worst thing is that she's a little bit bougie, but it's not been bad. 4, Anton, as far as like the edits these people are getting, he's getting out of this alive so far.
Except that he liked to drink and go out when he was single. His homeboy that his girlfriend hates.
Yeah, right. Melissa, what a character. Will she be at the wedding? That's what I want to know.
Will she be at the reunion? That's what I want to
know. She might be on the next season of Love Is Blind. I don't think that's long for this world. 5. Okay, so this is tough now. I'm going to put Joe here. I thought this was a good batch of episodes. I thought he had a good run of episodes. He did nothing wrong. I actually took his side in most of the insane fights. And then he had the funniest moment of the batch at the end when he was criticizing.
Just because he hates Nick. You give him points for
I was laughing during that moment. I thought it was really funny. And then I'll put Madison at 6.
Okay. All right.
Whatever. I'm leaving out Patrick, Anna, Kate.
Yeah.
All the singles.
We'll keep Mike at the bottom, honorary bottom.
Honorary hell spot.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Edmond here because I actually can't believe it.
Edmond above KB?
And then I'm going to go KB. I found her really tough to watch in some of these scenes, but I'm not absolving him because I also think he is the kind of person who could really push a woman to her limits.
Yes. And he wore a pick under his fitted. So
I think in the cowboy hat, he even had it.
Yeah,
at one.
The pick was there at all times.
The altar.
Please don't make it to the altar. Please end it.
If you had to guess right now, is it going to make it to the altar?
I don't think so. They can't. They can't let this thing get to the altar. It can't. It's the man. We saw what the man did when he wasn't getting no coochie, and so to get told no at the altar.
Oh, I meant it. I was asking if the pick was going to be.
Oh, the pick would make. Oh, the pick. The pick makes it at the altar. If he's at the altar, the pick will be there with him.
I feel like it's an emotional support pick. Like,
it is. It's
at this point, it's in every scene.
I could see her like gifting, like somebody like his mom, like gifting him a pick before like an emotional moment before the wedding. It's just like, oh, this is so
like
sweet.
A diamond encrusted, a special one for the wedding. finally, I'm going to go Annie and then Nick at the bottom. Because not only is he tough to watch, like we said, we have never seen the same gender turn on someone the way these people are turning. I
don't think they're turning on him. They were never not turned on.
They were never on his side.
They hated him from the very beginning.
I know.
Brendan, I need the unedited footage of just him in the dorm with the dudes and how much they absolutely hated him the whole time.
The reunion, I think, is going to be amazing for this season, by the way. I'm really, really excited
Also,
to see.
Nick needs to put out his group chat screenshots because the way he described the group chat was a little disturbing.
With the boys.
Yeah, the boys.
All right, Nick, not a size queen. That is our final power rankings. We will be back next week to do 10 and 11. We are getting closer and closer to the altars. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Viewer discretion helps us out. You can follow us on Blue Sky at ViewerPod, right? That's what I think so, right? Yes.
Yeah, we got our own handles, everybody.
We're putting clips out there. And you can watch on YouTube at youtube.com/@MeanandKimes.